And this is how we plan for today and next week. That will be our last class. And after that, we will have an exam, and then one day off, and then some personal report. And for personal report, we'll do that online. And because when your classmates are doing their report, they also hope that there are some attendance, right? So for the 2 weeks, at least please be there, during your week. But the other week you don't have to show up. That's okay. But of course, you are always welcome. Okay, all right. Otherwise, you'd be too boring. That I would be the only one there. And this is our last chapter, and it's about risks and sustainability. And I always think this is a good chapter for the next one, because when we deal with supply chain, sustainability and risk are always that thing that we have to look into. Especially when you graduate, you work in the industry for 2 years, that would be the topics that you will be dealing with. Okay. Not about efficiency, about anything. It's about how to prevent the risk and how to make your company sustainable. And this is a short, brief introduction about evolving responsibility of supply chain professionals. When you graduate, you might be working in one of the functions, in the department. And after a few years, you would not only look into a specific function, but you look at the whole process to complete the job. Okay, to complete a product, complete a service. And it will be cross-functional. Most of the time, it will be cross-functional. Like procurement, manufacturing, inventory control, warehousing, transportation, they will all be included, to complete the process. And then when you are a little bit higher in the company, that will be a job you have to consider. And then you have to consider about the resources, to find a trade-off between all those functions and to get the company the best solution. So that would be the middle level of management. So after a few years, you graduate, work in industry, around 30, a little bit before or after, that would be the job. So when you work, not only you don't have to stick to your optimization of what you are doing, but you have to consider other functions as well. Okay, and try to make the whole process optimized, not only your process. Okay, so when you graduate for you, that would be what you do. And then when you are at a little bit even higher level, this is risk and security. You begin to think of what kind of risks that might be involved in the supply chain, the company, and to provide the security for your product and services. So there will be even higher level. And the last, where you are at the top, one of the top, you have to look into sustainability. And of course, during this process, when you are working here, you are working on some sustainability work. But about sustainability policy, that will be the highest level, how to design your policy, how to execute it, and etc. So that's a full picture of supply chain profession. And there's a theory about supply chain. It's called text-aligned supply chain. Okay. And as we talked about in chapter 2 about supply chain structure, restructuring. Actually, the restructuring is based on the tariff. And tariff is part of the tax. And why it is said that the supply chain is tax aligned? It is because tax always affects your cost. Okay, and the cost will affect your decision about where you deploy your manufacturing site, warehousing, how to find your own market, etc. So even nowadays, for the this is I reviewed it. This is today's companies tax after finding a profit. For example, for example, Argentina is very high, 35, and many of the South America they are pretty high, like Brazil 34. So they are not in good economic situation. Okay, because they will always find places that will be lower. For example, like Netherlands, 35. Turkey 25, Italy 24, Germany 30, France 25, and China also 20. So most of the country are around 25. Korea is 24, but they're close. And why they want to lower, as I remember that Ireland also has very low, tax rate. So as I remember in 1990 something, the GDP is quite low at the time, in the early 1990s. And they have a policy to become the center of Europe at the time. So they just lower their tax. And so many of the international companies, when they want to get into the market of Europe, they will select Ireland. So their GDP, as I remember right now, is pretty good. One of the best in Europe. And right now, I think that Ireland economy is better than UK, because UK has a lot of population, and they are Brexit, so they are not part of Europe. And so Ireland becomes the only country that speaks English, that brings them a lot of opportunities. And also they have very low, company tax. So, tax is always have to consider. And of course, tax has to be accompanied with risks. Without security, without being safe, cost. But so when we talk about supply chain restructuring, we have to remember it's all about carrier tax. And the security, also become critical, especially after this is after the 9/11 terrorism attack in New York. After that, U.S. They initiate some regulation that for every flight or vessels entering U.S. territory, they have to be show the manufacturing in advance. So security become scrutinized seriously after that, and even nowadays it's the same. So I found this is the risk map of 2025. A lot of times, some of the literature they say that the Taiwan Strait is quite intense, but from this video, it's by some of the. I think this is by some of the company, advising company, and actually the risk in Taiwan Strait is still pretty low, so it's okay. And among the Europe and Germany, because in Germany, Ireland, and some of the Scandinavian countries, they are a little bit lower in risks. And here in Japan, they are also the lowest. But the Indies and Africa, seems to be at the hip of the risks. So this is the risk map that there will be some economic or political risks. Okay.
Global.
For your reference. And so you are, when you are, of course, when we talk about supply chain, the risk map is a little bit different. And we have to consider about if some of the country can support it or not. Okay. So nowadays, the whole world is a little bit of unstable. A lot of political issues and also economic issues. Ukraine here is also in high heat, and hopefully there will be some peace. And some say that Russia is going to invade Europe. Is that true? No, it's not going to happen. Some quite pessimistic. They say that Russia will invade Europe in 3 years. You think so?
Yes.
In 3 years.
2029.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why the Germans reactivated their military.
The military. Yeah, I know that your budget had raised by about double, right?
Yeah, they I don't know the English term for it, but
I think that I always think that
to upgrade the total numbers again
Yeah.
to 200,000 active soldiers.
200.
Yeah, they want to activate them.
And what's the soldier number right now?
I bet not even 10,000.
So it will be 200,000. Just 200,000
I
after
don't
2
know.
years.
I don't know
Even
numbers.
Japan, they say they defend themselves. They have 23, 230,000. Yeah. And Japan also raised up their military expenses by double. About 60 or 70% more. And Taiwan also wants to increase, but there will be some problem in the parliamental. So what's the soldier number right now in Germany?
I have no idea. It's probably not good. Let me check.
What did you say?
The number of soldiers.
In Germany?
Yep.
Right now it's 180.
180.
And till 2029 they want to stock it up to 260,000.
Still not too many.
And what did you say?
Still not too many. Right?
Yeah, that's what they're criticizing right now. That's
Yeah.
one of our problems.
Yeah, you should double it.
Maybe you should go into politics in Germany. Maybe you can solve the problems that we're having.
After you have left Taiwan, you can go back and tell them that yeah, the risk is pretty high.
And that's not what I'm studying for.
But I think that for Japan and Germany to militarize, I think that you think for the world is because there's too much pressure from Russia and China. U.S. alone cannot fight against these two big countries. Anyway, yeah, you can think about it. And right now, even Japan militarized, and they increase their defense budget by almost nothing. And they say that when anything happens in Taiwan, it happens to Japan as well. So, U.S. can use a lot of, I think they have the largest number of military bases in Japan. Their pocket is quite huge. developing a secure supply chain. Yeah, this is the definition. I'm not going to read all them, and it is include the policy, procedure, technology, how to make sure that your supply chain is secure and protect the assets, product, facility, etc. From terrorism, damage, or theft. So this is to develop a secure supply chain. And in order to do that, from the global perspective, one country, today is not enough. They need global collaboration, avoid the risk and some of the redundancy checks. Because a lot of redundancy, check here, check there, check there, in order for security, you will result in much higher costs. So a lot of it's like to avoid risk is like to assure your farm is good. You have to do a lot of check and the cost will be higher. But when you have better collaboration and the system, you only check one seriously, and the whole cost will be lower. And yeah, we have covered this about resilience because when we talk about risk, we only did that to make sure that the company can withstand the risk about building their supply chain resilience. And we talk about this, we did it, and also depending on the structure of your supply chain, when you face some risk, you might be collapsing, or when you are really strong, you are like robust. In that time, you are strong but not strong enough. That time, to extent, you have lost some of your components. And the best strategy always attack. At the beginning of the class, we talk about adaptive supply chain. And in order to do that, it's quite complex. You need to think about the information structure, the policy, and also the people working there. They have to be adaptable. They have to be quite flexible. So nowadays, we all the situation we are facing is quite different from before. Because before it was quite stable. The whole was quite stable, and the supply chain structure is also quite fixed. But nowadays, it's all changing. We don't know what is going to happen next year. So the best way is to make yourself adaptive, and to be adaptive, for a personal, you have to be educated and also to think to make yourself adaptive. And the same for a company and their supply chain, they need to be adaptive. So they need a collaboration, okay, and try to find the best way. And yeah, we have talked about this one, to repeat it, and the risk, in order to face to withstand the risk, company need to have their resilience, in order to withstand it. Yeah, so that's about the risks. And then we talk about the risk, and I believe that this chapter, when they just started to write it, and it was more than 10 years ago. And at that time, the risks for the supply chain actually quite low. But nowadays, all changing, it's all changing. So that's how we are facing. What we are facing, the high risk of the global political situation. And so we have to make ourselves adaptive, and also the company have to be adaptive. I think that's always the best parts. Okay, and so after the risk, we will discuss about sustainability. In sustainability, there are many different issues, like before they talk about 3 E's, economic, environment, and also the act. And nowadays, they talk about people, profit, planet. Okay, and and also maybe we can take the other parts. ESG, SDG. Yeah, in this textbook, it's about 4E. They talk about environment, ethical education, and economic. Actually, you see they are specific. It's just different words, different terms. And but right now, I think that actually for you to remember these two, because these are the terms that frequently used by industry. Okay, it's ESG. Actually, they talk about environment, social, and governance. Okay, and as you see, that the social part is corresponding to what we will talk about for E is ethical and education. Okay, and the governance is about economics. Okay, about economics and governance, the company governance. You have to some of the country regulation. So they follow. So actually, in many of the countries, the ESG, the sustainability is managed by the accounting department because they have to follow some of a lot of governmental governance. And the other term is about SDGs. That is actually the UN. Proposed by UN about sustainability development. And why SDG have shown here? So what does SDG mean to the supply chain? Actually, for each company, they have to write sustainability report. Nowadays in Taiwan, and I think that in Europe is the same. That your company, when you are in the stock market, you have to write a sustainability report. Do you know about that? When in for European company, do you have to write some sustainability report nowadays? Do you know that? When you are in the market, do you know the regulation? Because
Can you say it again?
Yeah. When a company are in the stock market, then they each year they have to write a sustainability report.
Yeah, of course. They have to do it.
There's a regulation for that, right? Yeah, in Taiwan, today it was established by 2 steps, and right now every company in the stock market they have to write a sustainability report. And in the report, the first chapter is they have to show, to the reader that what kind of SDG they are doing today. Okay, so if you read the sustainability report, you will see that what SDG they are working on. You know, you have to pick up at least one. And some of the companies, they pick up more than two. Like, you know, TSMC, when they were a little smaller, they had 2 or 3. But right now, last year I saw like 6 or 7 SDG. So that is why SDG actually is quite important today. So you have to know what they are, you know, and what they mean, because they are associated with the ESG industry. And this is, you know, some of the dimension of sustainability, you know, based on, you know, these textbooks. Okay, it's, you know, from, actually, the source is from this journal. And they have 4 E's, so, I mean, I think environment and education. And what are there? And before that, we show you this picture. This is, you know, actually why the company are working on sustainability. Some of the motivation behind. You know, in this year, you know, we have some tangible benefits and intangible, and some are, you know, to gain the advantage and to avoid the harm. And so we have 4 quadrants. And so if you were the manager, which quadrant you really looking based on this, you know, to initiate a sustainability plan for your company? Which one you care more? This is to gain benefit or to avoid harm?
So I personally would probably go into the direction of reputation, because I think there's a lot of, like when you have a company strategy or a business strategy, then it mostly aligns with costs and risks and revenues anyway. So I would rather focus on reputation, because I think the revenues will come automatically when you have a good reputation.
Yeah.
And I think when you take care of your reputation, you also eliminate risks to a certain point, because all of the risks that you might face will also have an impact on your reputation. So if you take care of your reputation, I think you are more risk avoidant anyway. So that's what I would go for.
This is the way you go. I think it's quite reasonable. Yeah, that's pretty good. Who else? Other people on this? So when you want to build your sustainable supply chain, what's the motivation behind it? Revenue?
Revenue, reputation, maybe the middle, launch green brands and product.
Okay.
So,
Good product. Good.
I mean, nowadays we have to focus more on green, more on ESG.
Yeah, you know, a lot of fashion companies, they are having the new materials. Having the new materials. As you talk about the Tata cake, they are recycled material, blah blah blah, and they can gain reputation as well as some of the revenues. But I also think that to avoid the harm is also quite important. You know, some of the companies, especially in Asian parts, like as I know that in Taiwan, many of the companies they look into this risks, to lower the risks. So, they didn't expect that they can make money. Instead, they thought that when they are sustainable company, their operational risk will be lower. Yeah, of course. When you are doing that, you will gain a lot of reputations as well. And the revenue, a lot of time they will come along when you are doing the sustainable work. I visit a Japanese company. They are supplier of semiconductor industry, and using some of the methods, tiny and precise methods for them. And so in order to ship the product, they have to grind it, so they have a lot of waste from the grinding process. And in the past, they just send it out for free, for some of the recycler company. And when I visited them 10 years ago, they decided to recycle themselves. And they say, well, the profit is so good, for all the investment of the equipment for the recycling, they got it back in 6 months because the metal price, like in the mine of the grinding waste, and they include some the gold, the copper, platinum, etc. A lot of precious gold. So they can, after they have done some of the recycling, actually they are making money and also gain reputation. So this is the motivation behind building the sustainable supply chain. Yeah, I think that they are all. I think that none of you chose the cost, because the lower the cost you will come later on. Okay, now there's some break, and for the third hour we will discuss about your personal question. Okay, we will continue our lecture.